Before we begin this podcast, we're pleased to announce that for this season, the 1878 FM podcast is sponsored by Green King Sport Pubs, where football is more than a game. Green King Sport venues are showing every single televised Everton game over the 23 and 24 season. And with more than 900 sports pubs across the UK, it doesn't matter where you're based, you will still be able to catch every minute of the action. Keep an eye out during the season for events, offers, content and competitions that will put you closer to the action. The Premier League returns this weekend on TNT and Sky Sports, and you can check that out in your local Green King Sport pub. So without further ado, let's get on with the podcast. Welcome to the 1878 FM podcast. It is episode 2 of Series 2. We are bushless today. The old groin's played up and he's had to pull out today, so no Andy Bush, but Dave Vitty, as always, the James Tarkovsky of the pod, is there. Had a couple of
he started off like the Michael Keane of the podcast.
He's recovered. He's recovered. He's here. David, how are you?
I'm all right, thank you, Barry. And yourself?
Yeah, away from football, I'm dandy, fine and dandy.
I'm of the same opinion. But Ped, you're not feeling very well today, I believe. You're a little
just
under the weather.
Just a
not
little
quite
bit.
The same new you.
No, and that's what's disappointing, Dave, is that you try to hit those levels to and you like yesterday I couldn't go for a run, and today I haven't been. I'll try and go later, but I'm not feeling it, and I just don't want to be dragged down.
You won't be.
But back down to those levels.
A couple of days where you're not, and then
I've been flying though.
Your biorhythms will pick back up tomorrow. You'll be ready.
And then, you'll return as our little ray of sunshine on a weekly basis.
Of
because,
course.
you do bring sunshine into people's life, Peter, and people, won't feel the same without that little injection of happiness. And, that's something that we all wish will come back very soon.
It is the injection of something I think I offer.
You do. People will have variants of that. Very much. The Omicron or whatever else variants are out there. But you're absolutely right. Dave, let's get the depression stuff out the way very quickly. Villa Park Sunday. It was always going to be a tough game. I'll be honest, I'm normally glass half full, but I was looking, thinking we'll do well to get something out of this, a point, whatever. But it was, for me, it was more the manner of the defeat rather than the defeat itself, and obviously losing Dominic Cavalloon and Alex Iwobi as well as just side issues to what was a very poor display in Birmingham at the weekend.
It was just too easy, wasn't it? I mean, I think that's a simple fact, and when you look back on it again, as I have done many times, and it could have been worse. That scoreline could have been significantly worse, but for some good fortune and bad missing on there. But it could have easily been 6 or 7. That's the reality of the situation. But there was too many mistakes. It was too easy for Villa. You have to think that Everton have got to be competing with the likes of Villa. I mean, I know that they always draw parallels between the two clubs, very similar in terms of their history and the amount of times they've met and trophies won and, all these different things. And there are parallels. They are very much like us. But as they were saying on Match of the Day too, these are two sides that are going in very different directions at the moment, and that's the worry about it. I didn't think we were going to get done in that fashion, but it was just down to, there was so many people had an off game, but just some awful individual errors and then heads go down and just too easy. And it just makes me wonder, therefore, where we are now, 2 games in, and it almost feels like, we're in a crisis situation and we need to sort this out. It's like, well, what have they been doing for the summer? That's a question that you have to ask, is that you could understand this kind of, fatigue almost, or that kind of situation, whether it be mental or physical. And, we need to get this right. We need to work on this. It's the second game in, they lost their first game at home, which granted they created plenty of chances and they got done by a soft goal. But the bottom line is they still lost, right? And they were comprehensively beaten at Villa Park on Sunday. So you then ask the question of why are they going back to basics now? What was done by way of preparation, or what hasn't been taken on board? What hasn't been listened to? And I find that worrying. I mean, I'm trying to I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to think that, listen, looking with some kind of optimism, there were chances created at home against Fulham. They didn't convert them. They didn't win, but at least there was chances created. Was Sunday just a bad day at the office? Was it just because obviously Villa got thumped on the opening day, against Newcastle? Were they particularly good? Were we particularly bad? Were particular individual errors to blame largely? I don't know. And I don't want to press the, emergency button yet, but it's difficult to find positives at this moment in time, and it has to be redressed, and it has to be sorted out at the weekend, because we bottom of the league, and that's the reality of the situation, and I know it's still early days, but we're bottom of the league, and that has to change, and I don't really know what else to say.
Okay. I mean, excellent use of the word particular at times there as well. Ed, I mean, it feels, and it's probably stupid to say this, but it almost feels like Wolves on Saturday now is a must-win. Yeah. And we're 2 games into the season.
Yeah, I mean, they got heavily beat on Saturday as well, didn't they, at home, by obviously a very good side in Brighton. But I think it's just for me, it's like the mental fatigue of like last season and now this season, and obviously the season before. It all just obviously Dave mentioned a ray of sunshine before. There is no ray of sunshine for us, is there? It's just...
I was being sarcastic, by the way.
No, we were come on, me. I'm not.
You resemble
listen. We love your downbeat tones, Ped. It's what makes us tune in on a weekly basis.
I thought you were being genuine then. No, there's no there is no little spark or anything, is there? And
no.
Fans are getting really despondent. You see it on social media, whether you want to use that as your gauge or not, but fans are getting really just, and you wonder how far that'll go, like how long that'll go on for. Like, you saw the away end at the end, like, people just leaving in their droves. And I know people love going to the away games and stuff, but how long before that, becomes people leaving in the droves at Goodison, or people just not even turning up at Goodison and just going to the pub instead and getting... And I honestly believe if obviously the new stadium wasn't on the horizon, I genuinely believe we'd be getting less than 30,000 crowds if the new stadium wasn't on the horizon.
Do you think? Yeah.
I do. I believe if that people weren't thinking, well, I need to keep holding me ticket, me season ticket, I think people would start to be thinking of packing in now, because it's just not fun. It's not enjoyable. Like, you look at that game and you don't have that, like we speak to quite a lot of people on here and from different clubs, and a lot of them are probably just as bad as us, but they have that optimism. They still go to the match every week feeling like they've got hope of winning a game. And you said it before, Baz, you're as optimistic as anybody at times. But even you were like, this is one of those games that we're going to get beat. I was asked before the game what score I thought it was going to be. I said 4-0. We're going to crumble today. And because you can just tell sometimes with our team, it's like all this stuff during the week of, we played well and we missed chances. And Fulham are rubbish. They're rubbish. And we saw that again. We saw that on Saturday. They're rubbish.
Yeah.
And we should have beaten them. And you're right, Wolves now and Sheffield United become huge games to take the pressure off the manager. But on the flip side of that, and it's not a blessing in disguise, I wouldn't go that far, but everybody now knows that in the next week we need players, and there's no getting away from that. And we're in a situation where it's like, we can't wait till January. We need players, because the fundamental lack of quality in the squad is alarming, and so we have to get those players in.
Dave, I mean, I know your answer will be no. I'm not surprised, but it is nonsense, isn't it? We've needed a centre forward for 2 years. Dom, I don't subscribe to this. Thought it was poor. Some people booing him at the weekend. Was woeful when he went off. He was obviously suffered a bad injury. We know Neil Maupay's not the answer. It's not worked. Everton need a centre forward. Are you surprised? Again, are you surprised that they haven't addressed this? I mean, I would have thought after Fulham, it would have been right. We need someone in this week, and it's great that Dom's coming back. That would have just been a bonus. Why are we on? The time of recording, it's the middle of the week. We've got a game in 3 days at Goodison, And right now, we've got no sense of it. Can change. We might sign someone tonight, tomorrow, whatever. But are you surprised they haven't addressed this? Because it's embarrassing now.
I think I was surprised. 8 months ago, and before that, 12 months ago.
Yeah.
And here we find ourselves having the same conversation. We said this time last year that we desperately needed a centre forward.
Yeah.
Above all else.
Yeah.
Right. There's no question about it. Above all else. Yet they still seem to be looking at wingers left, right, and centre. And it's like, as I said to you before, I've got nothing against wingers, especially I've got nothing against goal scoring wingers. But it's just a question of priorities. And especially it's a question of priorities, not just in the order at which you recruit, but based upon very, very limited finances. If we're now not a club that can go and effectively buy whatever we need on our shopping list, you've got to make sure that you spend that money in the most effective way.
Yeah.
And we all know that the most head and shoulders, the most desperate thing that we need is somebody to regularly score goals, a decent centre forward. It should have happened last summer. It didn't happen. We therefore said that, well, it's got to happen in January. We all said, didn't we? We kind of said before Christmas, you watch, it'll be like January sales. They'll have all their stuff all lined up a bit like, if someone's aunt going to Next, she knows exactly what blouse she's going to get because she's seen it online. She's going to rush in. She's going to get that in a size 12 and she's going to get straight out the door, right? And that's exactly what should have happened. And all the business should have been done early doors. And was it? No, wasn't done at all. And here we find ourselves in exactly the same situation. So will we do something ahead of Wolves at the weekend? Who knows, Barry? We desperately should do, but my optimism or positivity on that actually happening with this club is starting to really fail me.
Do you know where I really struggle, right? Is that we know what we need. Okay, it's a big world out there. There's lots of strikers that Everton could bring in that would suit what the manager wants to do. Okay, I keep banging on about Acor Adams. If Everton didn't have any money, he was perfect. 4.5 million. He's a little bit of a gamble, but he's physical, he's aggressive. He's gone to France. He's got 3 in his opening 2 games. Right? If Everton haven't got a lot of money, fine. That's what we're working in. Why are we throwing £25 million bids in for a winger then? Do you know what I mean? If we genuinely
because
haven't got loads of money, then like you just said, Dave, prioritise it. Try and get the striker sorted. And then if you've got some, you can club together some money near the end of the window. Go and try and nick that. Because we all know there'll be players on deadline day. Yeah. Everton will sign Eric Dyer or Harry Maguire on deadline day. We know that. And it wouldn't put it past if we hadn't signed a winger by then. Dan James comes in on loan as well. I haven't ruled him out, by the way, either. DD on deadline day. Dyer and Dan. But we're desperate for a striker right now. Yeah. Got Yusuf Chimiti, and if the manager was saying he's flying, I'm looking to get him involved. You heard the manager last week. He was like, he basically went, who? Yeah, the young lad. Because he doesn't like young players. We know that.
He could be the next Moise Keane for all we know.
Hey, Moise Keane's Juventus are in talks with Fulham. Marco wants a second go at Moise Keane, apparently. But that's the thing that doesn't add up for me. If you've got no money, so you try to sign the players on loan. If you've got no money, then, like you said, Dave, surely it's priorities. There's no. I want a winger. I do. I want a right winger. Preferably, I would have liked Nonso. I wasn't that keen on him at the start, and I've done that Everton thing. Now I can't have him. I'm desperate for him, which Evertonians do. But I'm not stupid enough to know that the bigger priority is the striker, and there will be wingers available for the next week. We've already got 3 in the squad. 4 if you include Ashley Young, who can play higher up. We're desperate for a striker. Yeah. That's what I can't get.
I remember sitting here 12 months ago and we were talking about it, and me and Dave basically said about Dominic Cavalloon, saying we both said he was finished, and we had to get.
That's a bit harsh.
No, but
in terms of reliability,
I do believe we've been proven.
Well, I don't think he's finished, but he's not reliable, is he?
Okay,
Let's say that.
Listen, and to your point before, Barry, is that Dominic Cavalloon's dad's come out in the press and stuff like that, and he said that he was disgusted by certain sections of the travelling Everton fans booing him. And I think we all agree, there's no place for that, right? No. It's not helpful in any way. He sustained an injury. We've all seen it. That should never happen. And you can't condone that in the slightest. However, he's just he's never going to be the answer, I don't think, and I think me and Ped agree with this, and that's nothing against him. I just don't think that over the course of a season, he's going to be the answer. He's never going to stay fit enough. He's never going to score enough goals. He's too fragile. He's a good player, but he's too fragile. And for that reason, he.
So that's why we should be doing something.
Of course,
isn't it?
That was my point was that it's like the law of probabilities is he just isn't going to play. No.
Enough
games is this? So Everton have got and for a player who's now got less than 2 years left on his contract, Everton have got to seriously start. I've got to be in the market for a player that they can trust in, and the thing about him, while he's got 2 years left, why aren't they exploring the market? And I know they have brought Chimity in, but the players you're talking about, Baz, are players who are out there who are scoring goals, maybe at a lesser standard, of course, but players that you could build up over a couple of years. And I know that's what they hope to do with Chimity, but there's got to be just a little bit more creativity when we're bringing these players in. You look at other teams, and I'm not saying it's what we should be doing, but you look at other teams and they do bring in lots of players, and some of them work and some of them don't. They bring them in for small fees, and they seem to get a little bit of joy out of them, where we continually, and we're like a broken record, go for the same kind of player, someone who's played in the Premier League, someone who's been round the block, hasn't really done anything, has failed somewhere, or just hasn't really done it somewhere. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it doesn't really move the needle. It doesn't really move you forward. It keeps you exactly where you are, looking at players who have already been relegated. Everton could field a team of relegated players if they got a couple more in. And I just don't quite understand why we threw all our eggs in one basket for Nonto. I just don't get that at all. And it never felt like we were ever going to get him either. It never.
Well, once you knew that he didn't have a relegation clause or whatever, and Leeds, the problem Everton had with this. And listen, these things happen all the time. Everton have apparently walked away. Leeds are saying he won't go. It could change again, of course. It could. There could be Leeds could decide late on to sell him, whatever, or Everton offer a bit more. But if you haven't got any any assurances that that's going to happen, why are you wasting your time? And the thing with the lad is, he is a bright spark, and he would improve us because we don't have anyone who's dynamic on the ball. And he is dynamic, but it's not like he's Richarlison. No. It's not like we get him in, we've got 10 goals because the lad got 2 in the Premier League last season.
I'm not going to sleep any better between now and the weekend if he signs tonight.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Because it just becomes hopeful, Dave, doesn't it? You just go, hopefully he'll do this. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, Ped, saying about not moving the situation forward and signing players who've already been relegated, I get that. Does Vardy fit into that bracket for you or not?
I wouldn't go near Vardy.
No. Would you not? Because I think
3 goals last season, Dave.
I just think at some point, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, Dave. I just think at some point we have to stop the behaviour that has got us to this position. And I just think for me, he's that kind of player where it's diminishing returns. What would you have to offer him to get him away from Leicester and all that? The life that he, the very good life that he's got. It doesn't matter that he's playing in the Premier League, not playing in the Premier League. He's a legend there. I just think that's the kind of one where you go, what are you going to get from him? I fully understand that the idea behind it. I just love us, like Baz says, I just love us to get away from looking at that kind of signing and thinking a little bit out the box. Maybe it's too late for that. I don't know.
I think I agree with you theoretically and in a long-term solution for the good of the club. Of course I do, but I think I'm maybe looking at it slightly different in terms of a short-term fix and a bit of a sticking plaster on a gaping wound. And that's the way that I'm looking at it.
Isn't Shea Adams that, Dave?
Well, again, it's difficult to get excited about him though.
No, listen. He's more goals than Vardy last season. But what I mean is, and again, we'll back him when if he comes in as an Everton player. Of course, we will. He is someone who he can lead the line. He does battle away, and he's probably a bit more like Deitch wants. It's not. Again, I keep going on about Ake or Adams. There's lots. Gift Orban would be the one I go for. If I'm Everton now with that money, That isn't going to Nonso, Gift Orban's the one I go after. You get him for 30 million euros, 27 million quid. I'm sure their down payment wasn't massive when Spurs were looking at him. Would he come? Well, it's the Premier League. And if no one else is banging on your door, you'll come. Yeah. He's 20 or 21. He's a hot prospect. He's got he's got 41 goals in 48 games. He's got a record of putting the ball in the back of the net. Whereas we're looking and going, well, he gets 5 or 4 goals.
That's it, isn't it? We're looking at players who have played in the Premier League and have not scored goals or are stopped scoring goals. Why aren't we looking for the players on the way up? Who, where's the development of these players to come in? I know it's not easy. Part of me almost feels like you've got to break. Well, I think you've got to break the cycle because it's the cycle that keeps getting us back to where we are. It's that cycle that keeps us circling the drain rather than going, we're going to try something different here. The whole club just needs to stop and look around. Because, go to your Vardy point, Dave, it's the same, isn't it? It's like this guy will do us for this season to keep us away from the relegation.
All right, well, there's one. We've been mentioned again this morning. Romelu Lukaku. Not at Chelsea. I imagine Chelsea eventually will just go, you can go on loan because no one's paying 40 million for him what they want. Would he come back to Everton? I don't know. But Romelu Lukaku, Everton, would it be worth paying like 10 million for him for this season in the hope that he gets 15 goals and keeps you up? Rather than paying.
If I sat here and said no, then I'd be lying.
No, but I'm saying it because there's no guarantee that, of course, because he's another.
Depends which Romelu Lukaku you get as well, though. In terms of do you get heavyweight Romelu Lukaku or do you get kind of
But is that version still better than Jamie Vardy and still better than Che Adams? Yeah, that's what you've got to ask yourself.
I don't know. It's a simple.
And like I said, I'm not even sure he'd come here. But what I mean is, there's a lad kicking his heels who's been here before. He does score goals. Everton needs someone who can score goals. Does it suit both? I don't know. But my other thing, just before we finish on this, if it is Che Adams who they've identified, right, and he's the one, and they're messing around with Southampton, want 5 million up front, and we've offered 3.5 million up front. Just pay the bleeding 5 million. Because what if Leeds went, Everton, we've got a deal on Nonso, by the way. And Southampton, because Everton are after both. It's not one or the other. Yeah. So just pay it. If it's that's the sticking point over Che Adams, pay it. So the manager's got a forward he wants in for Saturday. Get him up here tonight. Get his medical done tomorrow. Training Thursday and Friday and play Saturday. And then we've got a striker in between. Yusuf Chimiti. We've got our centre forward. We've got Dominic Cavalloon, who I think will be back for Sheffield United, the saying, with the protective mask on. So therefore, we can then move Neil Maupay out, who wants to go, and Everton want one out as well, rather than just kicking the can down the road, which we seem to be doing. Depression. There is still, what is it? There's still 9 days or something to go in the market, and I'm sure it'll be a busy time for everybody. Let's hope. Players in.
Can we just start the season again on Saturday?
Dave, are you in favour of the window shutting before the season starts?
I think it probably makes it cleaner. To be honest with you.
Yeah. Because then all this is gone, hasn't it? You've got you've got then, haven't you?
Yeah. You know what you're starting with is what you've got.
Yeah.
I think it would be cleaner and easier, to be honest with you, but
they won't do it. They done it for one season and then bitched about it, so it got put back.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure next week will be better. We'll beat Wolves at the weekend by hook or by crook, and maybe. I don't say that with any real confidence. No. I'm trying.
That's apparent, Barry.
Yeah, I'm trying to be very positive. But yeah. I meant to get. We had a deal with Andy Bush.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we?
Hey, we've had several deals with Andy Bush
had several
over the last 12 months, to be honest with you, and very few of them have come to fruition.
That is correct. We are, in a way, we're like Everton's recruitment team, aren't we? With where Andy Bush is concerned, we keep
always the bridesmaid.
Yeah, never, and there should have been input from the Bush
I
today.
Believe so.
I'll take responsibility for that. That's on me. I'll be the bad
Are you
guy.
the Kevin Thelwell of this
I'll hold my hand up and go full Thelwell here. So which means I wouldn't be speaking to a camera right now. I'd have written it down. But let's move on from that. But he is missing again in action, the Bush. And we soldier on without him.
It's because he spends so much time on Facebook looking around for dolls.
It is. He is a Facebook doll buyer, isn't he? Apparently, whatever guys
those
that
words
takes.
you just said, that they are correct in some kind.
Yeah, put them in an order that makes sense. If he's not DJing in Ibiza, he's buying dolls on Facebook. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or cruising with Disney.
Why wouldn't you? Him and Richie.
Given the chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, surely they go cruising in Scotland in the 4th or 5th just to fit in with Richie, and he could.
Yes.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Because they look like they could do a little cruise thing together.
They look good with midge nets on their heads, I think. Both of them.
I mean, as a man who's worn one recently, Dave, you would be more qualified than us certainly to apply a midge net to Bush's head.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
add net to Bush.
Net to Bush. I'd seen something the other day about the olden days, which led me thinking.
That doesn't apply to me then, surely.
No. I'm talking hundreds of years ago.
Oh, sure.
With Dave's got a skateboard tucked under his arm.
Yeah, Dave's there. Fucking full Marty McVitty there. About it was a thing about arguments, right?
Oh yeah.
And there was a comparison thing, but just one thing I took from it was like it was the shittest way to settle an argument years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you had a disagreement, they challenge you to a duel at dawn.
Yeah.
Now,
have you only just discovered this?
No, but it's just come back. It was just like how times have changed. Now, if I'm having an argument and or a disagreement, I'm happy sometimes to just hold my hands up and go, all right, you've give a compelling argument there. We'll settle it as you've won the argument. A duel at dawn. So just because I've got a different point of view than you or Dave, and you don't agree with it, we've got to get up. I mean, there'd be no chance doing it with you because the fella would be stood there, wouldn't he? The fella would be stood there with a gun. You'd be nowhere in sight.
You'd be there, honestly, for about 6 hours.
Waiting
and then suddenly at the crack of noon, head emerges.
I take your comments and I'll disregard them.
You can't. I seen a message from you around 9ish this morning, which was very unpedly.
I believe that while the man or lady or whatever the person identifies as is waiting for me to duel,
challenge you to duel.
You would see me in the distance, just jogging along.
A long way in the distance.
I've got to get me running first. Let me get me running.
I've got to do a bit of running first. I've got to get me steps in.
You've got your pistol inside. It wouldn't be likely to be those baggy trousers that they used to have with the white shirt with the ruffled sleeves, and you'd be jogging along. Absolutely.
Sounds a bit Spandau Ballet when you describe it like
adamant,
that.
I was thinking, bit adamant. But I mean, what? Yeah.
Dave can't see me.
Ridiculous, nothing. Do you not think it was a bit excessive, just over a disagreement?
I can see it coming back.
I mean, it seems to be coming back. I'll be honest.
I could see it coming back, just the way people are now. I mean, people in their pride and all that. Lives were worth less then. Life expectancy was probably about 27. So what did it matter?
So it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So what to speed it up?
Natural selection, isn't it? It helps to keep the population down. In some ways, it's probably better than being cancelled.
Well, it's one way of being cancelled.
It is one way of ultimately being
cancelled.
Yeah. You'd feel it's hit, wouldn't you, if you challenged someone to the duel and they just had you off. One shot, bang, gone.
Those guns were rubbish, though.
They were.
They spat out little bits of metal. You probably really... No, like little bits of metal.
Yeah,
though,
but it hurts, at least.
It would hurt, but I don't... Is it enough?
Is it like a paint...
Maybe
like
it's been exaggerated over the years and it didn't actually kill you. It's just like... Ooh,
you got me, yeah.
Stung you.
Oh, like red ass with the ball, that kind of thing.
That's me.
Imagine if that was a way to settle argument, like red arse at dawn.
Red arse at dawn. Well,
I tell you red arse at 9 for Ped.
I tell you what, don't go googling that red arse at dawn or whatever. That's a proper clear history moment.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good. You'd need Private Praving on for that, wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
Do that again.
You don't be cruising for that.
No. See, but Red Arse at 9 has got a better.
It's got a better arse at
got a
9.
better sound.
I can imagine that on Channel 5.
yeah.
Presented by Andy Bush.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
You know,
Red Arse
at 9.
Cruising and Red Arse at 9. Or cruising for Red Arse at 9.
Is that arguably one of the shittest ways to die? That you've had a disagreement in a pub.
Never a good way, is
No, there isn't a good way. No, of course there isn't a good way. Well, I mean, it depends, but there's never a good way. But if you've just in the public house the night before, and say you were discussing the modern, the old version of Michael Keane and Neil Mopai, you were just having a discussion about something akin to them in the olden days, which farm is better, or who could grab chickens quicker, or let all the chickens out, whatever, or anything.
I go for Michael Keane letting all the chickens out.
Well, there you go. And if you were having a deal with Neil Mopai, you might be all right. But if you imagine it, and then the next minute you find yourself, me and David be at dawn, bed at 9.
Yeah. I like to get up early.
Well, there you go. You'd have got your run in first, Dave, with your lighter on.
Yeah.
You'd find yourself it was always misty when you see it in like film. It's misty in the morning. You're there having to risk getting shot. And you've challenged someone. The next minute you're done. Oh, what happened to Ped? Well, he had a disagreement over the chickens
Still in
in
bed,
field
more
3.
like.
Well, yeah, you'd be all right, but you could send someone else there because it's misty and get away with it. Just go here for us.
Die.
Yeah, but you could be in bed, just send a shadowy figure, go and have this dawn fell, because you wouldn't have to get out of bed then. But I think that'd be the shittest way if you were the challenger of the duel and then you died from it. I think that's crap.
Has this been on your priority list for a while?
No, I just seen it the other day and it just started.
Where did you see
why? It was just, when you're looking through stupid stories and things like that. There was a thing about how arguments escalated now, like how it's but they were saying, have
you been watching Horrible Histories?
No,
again?
but I thought it made me think about stupid deaths on Horrible History.
Horrible Histories is
do you know what's been occupying my head for a little while?
Go on, Dave.
It's kind of related to you with your fogginess.
Yeah.
And by that I mean the fact that it's always foggy during those
in the duels,
duels at dawn, right?
Yeah.
Now, certain things that I don't fully understand, and I don't mind that, because I'm in my late 30s now, and I'm not expected to know everything. But there's certain things that still puzzle me as a man of my age, right?
Math's
and one of them I've explained before is seedless grapes, because I don't understand those, right? I've said that many times, because the seed is the essence of life, and how do they work without seedless grapes? That's the first one. Wi-Fi, I don't understand. Still don't really understand how Wi-Fi works. I find that like magic. But the one that actually dawned on me while I was away on my North Coast 500 thing, and I stayed in a couple of hotels, is how do those non-foggy up bathroom mirrors work, right, that you get in hotels? Because ordinarily you have a shower or the steam and it fogs up the thing, and the only way you can clear it is with the towel, right, the traditional way. But now they have these newfangled ones whereby for some reason the mirror doesn't fog up. Now, are you aware of this concept, or am I talking about a new thing?
No, go on. I not the only thing I was aware of is if you put shaving foam on your mirror and then wipe it off, it doesn't. Your mirror doesn't fog up for a while. That's the only. But that's like a hack, isn't it?
No, this is.
So this isn't
like,
a hack. Yeah, go on then.
No. This is a new thing. This must be electrical. I think.
Is it heat? Is it warm? So it therefore it doesn't.
But then I don't understand how that works either, because if the mirror was warm, and then you've got the warm. Maybe it is warm. Maybe that's the thing. Because maybe the reason that makes it foggy is maybe it's the hot condensation hitting the cold mirror, which makes it fog up. Therefore, if you had the mirror warm, you wouldn't have the same discrepancy in temperature, and therefore you wouldn't have that situation happen. That could be it, but I don't know that. But I think it's really clever.
There is things, isn't there? I always go back to fax machines. I can do a drawing here and send it to me mate.
Clever, isn't it? I still
very,
don't really understand how radio works. And that's been around for hundreds of years.
Did you know Wi-Fi was invented by Hedy Lamarr?
Who?
Hedy Lamarr. You must have heard of Hedy Lamarr.
Is he related to
She
Thomas
was a very
Lamarr?
famous actress in the 40s and 50s.
Okay.
She invented Wi-Fi.
How
weird's that?
How did she invent Wi-Fi? No, well, tell me how she did.
I know she invented it. Ask her.
Well, it hasn't been around for ages, so what was she doing in the 40s? If she invented it in the 40s...
She invented it, right, and the Americans stole it off her, and she never got a penny.
That's happened with loads, though. That happened with Faraday and people like that.
Knowledge bombs
And
dropped.
Nikola Tesla, that happened
Tesla, everything robbed off him.
They robbed, yeah.
His car.
His car straight away. I mean, his car's electric cars. Elon has, has developed it all.
Elon's from space anyway, and I think that will.
Well, SpaceX, yeah.
That'll play out
in time.
Yeah,
I think that will come out. I think for sure. I think he will be the first celebrity alien. I think will be Elon Musk. How on earth does Wi-Fi work? I mean, genuinely.
Radio waves jumping frequencies.
My friend was over the weekend from LA, Pasadena. He lives. He's from Liverpool, but he works for NASA.
He works for NASA.
Yeah. He works in a jet propulsion lab.
Wow.
In Pasadena for NASA, and he was first of all, he said, I've got a bone to. I did say I would talk about this, so he said he hasn't been over. Last time he was due to come over was COVID and whatever. And the time before he was over and I was in America, so we missed. But he said, I haven't seen it, but I have heard a couple of your things about the moon.
Oh yeah.
So I did say he went the moon. I was like, well, did he? So I was said,
what's his take on it? Because he's obviously a space expert.
Well, he said he said he went the moon. He said,
well, he would though.
He did.
Well, that's going to be NASA's line.
He's protecting the brand, isn't he?
This is what I said, protecting the brand. But what he said was, he said there is shadows on the moon, because of whatever. I said there's no wind, and he said no, there wasn't any wind. He said, but when you plant a flag into that surface, it vibrates for ages because there's nothing to stop it, so it's waving. Yeah. So he gave a slightly compelling argument.
What about
there
today,
was no duel? Put it that way.
What
he
about
didn't
today
duel.
when the Indians land on the moon? What are you going to say then?
When?
Today.
Well, when they land on the moon today, quite clearly they've gone, haven't they?
Yeah. I mean, there's no one in it. It's only a ship.
No, but this is because we were getting on to sending things into space and stuff and all of this.
Like Neil Mopay would be good.
Well,
and Michael Keane.
Your words, not ours, Dave.
No, it's fine. I can say it because I'm merely a contributor. This isn't an official Toffee TV line. I mean, they would be the first two people in those two seats.
Would they be like in an actual rocket, or would you put them in the Tesla? Remember when Elon Musk sent a Tesla into space? They just had the dummy.
What's mad is they're asking for. He was saying, obviously, they're asking for old people to go to Mars, aren't they? He's fuming over. Is fuming
like Ashley Young?
Is fuming the right? No, slightly older. Fuming's probably not the right word, but he was like, well, it's a little bit pointless sending people because no one's ever going to live on Mars. No one's ever going to live on the moon. It's nonsense. It costs crazy amounts. It costs crazy amounts of money to send.
Yeah, so.
But all the stuff they're developing in space should just be robotic coming up because they can still do the exact same things. So clever. Well, I mean, hey, I'm not an expert. I just had the conversation.
I mean, you're going to have someone living on Mars, aren't you?
No one's going to live on Mars.
Someone will.
Nobody.
I bet you.
Nobody.
I'll have a duel with you.
We'll have a duel over it.
See, I think I've got time on my side.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
Because there's more probability that someone will live on the moon and live on Mars. So therefore, I'm not giving a time. I'm just saying someone will live there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they will.
I'm not sure.
I think
it's a long way, isn't it?
It is a long way. It's a long way.
That's the thing. You have to look at it. It's not an easy commute. It's a long way. Yeah. There's no decent infrastructure. And these are all reasons to maybe rule it out. Location.
Could you imagine?
It's not a good one.
Could you imagine the place of Mars bars on the service station on the way?
Yeah.
Well,
tell you what, but property would be cheap, though, wouldn't it?
We don't have Earth bars, though, do we? What do you think? Would they have Earth bars on Mars?
Who are they?
People who've gone to. Whoever lived on I said whoever if there became a time, would they have Earth bars? Oh, remember Earth? You know what I mean? We don't have Earth, do we? Because we're talking so far into the future. Maybe that's how they'll remember Earth if Earth continues to heat up with an Earth bar.
I think, though, that Mars bars were called Mars bars because it was the Mars family, I think, rather than being a space thing. Let me check that.
I don't think they were.
This is live research.
This is live research.
So
keep going.
Was there a Milky Way family or a Milky Bar family?
When the Milky Way, I think, is definitely named after the area of space. But hang on. Let's have a
So
look at
is it not the Mars bar family?
Galaxy?
And Galaxy, what was that named after? The Galaxy family?
No, I do believe it's a corporation rather than a planet that they were named after. So.
I mean, the beauty of this podcast being as relaxed as it is
Yeah.
that we're able to actually do stuff like
Live
this
research.
without even editing.
No,
or
there'll be
anything
no
like
editing,
that.
Dave. Don't worry about that. Heads off.
Invented in. Oh no, that's deep fried Mars bars. That's
No. That is. We
Hang
did
on.
discuss this the other day because
Yeah.
Keith, my mate, was in. Went to university in St Andrews, and he'd come over and he took his kids back to say and all that before coming to Liverpool the other day.
He's
And
ticking all the podcast boxes, isn't he?
he's everywhere. He was in Paris first, then St Andrews, then Liverpool. Met the Liverpool match at the weekend. But deep fried Mars bars, like what is the like other than killing you? I mean, is there any wonder Scotland's like life expectancy is so much shorter than anywhere else?
Is it though?
It will.
No, I mean genuinely,
No,
is it?
genuinely
Can you
is.
back that up
Well,
with science?
I can back it up with mortality, which is what my missus works in. Life expectancy. It's like 10 years.
Evidence.
I mean, it's 100% based on evidence.
It's not evidence.
It's based on
It's just a
evidence.
chat in the kitchen.
As the fry in the Mars.
Hey, listen. We have actually upholded, looser theories before on this podcast.
No, that's a
You well
thing.
know,
That's a thing. The life expectancy in Scotland is shorter than anywhere else in the UK.
Give me data.
Right?
I need data.
I'm not going to do. Well,
Right.
no, Dave's just championed the
look.
live research, but I'm not going to do it right now. But I'm telling
Right,
you,
so-
fried, bloody deep fried Mars bars. No wonder. And everything else.
Right.
Go on,
anyway,
Dave.
listen,
Go on.
back to me. Right. The Mars bar was first manufactured in Slough, England, under the Mars bar name in 1932 by Forrest Mars Sr., son of American candy maker Frank C. Mars. Right. So
Okay.
the Mars bar was named after the confectionery or candy
Yeah.
maker, the Mars family. There you go.
All
I knew
you've
it.
done, Dave, is just make your point correct, which you said. And I'll be honest with you, when you
That's
said
science,
it,
though.
Yeah,
there is science. But when you said it, there was no element of disbelief from me. I believed it 100% because
Well,
I
I
thought
believed it 'cause
that's
he had
a
a-
bit random.
I'm
That's-
that kind of person, though, Barry. You know,
Yeah.
when I talk, people listen.
Well, you convince people, Dave, obviously.
I believe Dave because
Yeah.
he had science to back him up. You, on the other hand, with your mortality.
I've literally got
You're just
all
saying
I've
it.
got is science.
You're just saying it.
I'm not guessing this thing. You
You're
know
just
what I mean?
saying it. Dave's got
I mean-
facts. He's got the internet. He's got Frank C. Mars.
Frank C. Mars is...
What a name.
What, I mean, Mars bars, though, is there any chocolate that has stood the time as well as Mars bars?
Stood the time.
Like, stood the test of time, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm flustered now because you've thrown science at me where Mars is concerned. Stood the... I think Mars bars are
Yeah.
tremendous. They've got
Yeah.
smaller. They've kept the vein on the front, very much like...
Yeah.
Very much, which was what was designed, because it was a male who designed it, but they wanted the vein, which is, you know...
No, pause a second.
Yeah.
there, because we all sort of thought we knew where you were going with
Yeah.
that conversation, but is that actually true? The
Well,
fact that
I
the
mean,
veiny
it's
bit is
true.
supposed to be in some way relative of something else.
Yeah, I mean, I'll base my science here was on something Ben Elton said in the 80s about it, so that's where I'm listening to Ben Elton. on
I'm
that
not
one.
worried about that. I'm more worried about what the Snicker bar's based on then. Full of nuts.
Well,
Well,
there you
that's-
go. They've
that's
took
the
it to the next level. They've gone, you've got the vein and you've got the nuts. They've gone all in. Snickers.
Baz, you're throwing out these vein theories willy nilly, without
much.
any kind of
Non-to,
without any
non-to.
real backup. Yeah.
We're back on Big Wilfred. And Will Fried. See what we've done there now. Name me something, a chocolate
Yeah.
bar that has stood the test of time as well as a
I
Mars
don't
bar.
know because I'm not a historian on chocolate.
No, but for you yourself, I mean,
For
something
me?
that as a kid it was going strong, and now as a very old man, older man, sorry.
How dare you?
Now, as an older man, it's still
How very
it's
dare you.
still
How
standing the test of time.
I'm not ready for Mars yet.
I won't say.
I don't know.
See, because I was eating I was back in the day. I was eating a Mars bar as a kid,
But we had
and I
limited
still
options.
have one at the match.
No.
And they're
Do you?
still
What,
nice.
What every weekend?
Well, no,
Do you?
because Everton don't have them all the time, Dave. They sell out in the upper Bullens.
But hang on, but you could take your own, surely.
Yeah,
Would that get taken off you in the search process?
I try to give the football club some
When you
money.
think about it, 19 games in a season plus maybe one cup game, you could go to a cash and carry at the beginning of the season
and get
buy
it
a box and just put them in the
But
fridge.
then I'd be travelling to the match with my Mars bar in me. That would seem almost like premeditated. I like to feel like I'm edgy on the day.
Yeah.
I might get it bouncy today. But
how do you feel about an ice cream Mars? Not to the match, because it's difficult to
that would be difficult.
But how do you? I mean, if I was to come round to your house, for example, right?
Whenever you want to.
Okay, well, and that's a lovely thing, and I wouldn't turn up without a gift. Right?
Okay, yeah.
And so I'd want to turn up with something. If I turned up with a box of ice cream Mars bars, how would that make you feel in terms of our friendship and our relationship as a whole?
I'd be fine with it, but I would be slightly curious how you've managed to keep them from melting.
Yeah.
Because I would have a what I call an esky or an ice box in the car.
Okay.
Which would
Again,
protect them in terms of the transport from Lidl to your house.
I will.
I don't know if they'd accept
I don't know Lidl
because
no.
In the gated community Baz lives in, they just
Can you get ice cream Mars bars in Lidl?
Yeah, you can get anything in Lidl. They're just not called Mars bars.
No, well that's what I mean. I'd want a genuine
Jag Mars.
No.
Okay,
See, I wouldn't want an ice cream Titan for argument's sake from
get ice
Aldi.
cream Titan.
No, I'd want the Mars bar. But I'm gonna wow you now, Dave. While watching season 3 of Deadwind last night on Netflix, which is set in Finland, the detective thing, tremendous. I did consume an ice cream Mars bar.
Oh, there you go.
I think they're great.
And it was very nice. Yeah, I'm with you, Dave. I'm with you. I'm with you. It's.
I think the caramel is more prevalent.
It is. It's softer.
Don't you think? It's just more.
It blends together.
Yes, it does. Because I think it gets a little bit lost in the traditional Mars bar.
Well, you've also got to have a hot drink. I think with it to get the best out of a Mars bar, it's better consumed with having a cup of tea to wash it down.
To dip in.
Not to dip. No, not necessarily to dip in, but to wash down. You see, what you've got to think of, you could never... You see, at the match, Everton could never have things like Mars bar, ice cream Mars bars. But what Everton do very well is they totally and utterly nuclearize, it's not a word, but I'm saying it, things like steak pies.
Yeah.
I get a steak pie at Goodison. It's best going under my seat till half-time. I'd done it once. I think I've said this. I can even remember the day in the game. Yeah. Because A, Everton were attacking in them days. And B, my first bite was after 25 seconds after kickoff. And at 28 seconds, I was juggling to keep it in my hands because Romelu Lukaku scored. We beat Bournemouth 6-3.
Still somewhat the pie.
Both. Right? We beat Bournemouth 6-3. 6-3. Imagine Everton scoring 6 goals. But I stupidly took a bite of my pie at kickoff because I thought I'm hungry here. And I literally had to put it in my hand.
It's a rookie mistake.
And just hold it till about 20 past 3 before I could take my next bite, because whatever they did, they obviously put extra heat. It just didn't go cold.
Did you have a hand like Marv in Home Alone when he grabs the door?
Yeah, it was literally, you could see
Sayers on the
It wasn't Everton, as if it'd be Sayers.
It used to be.
Yeah, it was like Fred and Ginger's pie or something.
Fred and Ginger's pie?
I didn't want to put any other brand out there because they're not paying us. No,
Are they a famous dance act?
Possibly.
Yeah, Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, I think you'll find. They were from the olden days.
They were from the olden days.
Conversation from before.
Full circle. Yeah, I had to just hold it. So the only other time I've had one, it went under my seat sealed under my seat till half time, and at half time it was
double bubble because it keeps your bottom warm.
Well, no one's sitting on it.
No, but just
he can't get through the seat.
No, it's good. Listen,
anything could happen.
Anything could happen.
Right. I mean, you got to be careful.
You got to be
careful in the upper Bullens with a nuclearized.
Yeah.
Again, that word that doesn't exist.
Red arse at dawn again.
Red arse. Well, red arse at 3.
It all comes full circle.
Or red arse at 12:30 or at 2 o'clock or whatever time they tell us we've got to play.
People think that this is just thrown together bollocks, but actually, it's all carefully constructed. We know where we're going.
Exactly. There's breadcrumbs, and we just it's like dots to dots when you were younger. Did you ever play that? You must have done dot to dot.
We had Nintendo.
Yeah, but there was also... That's why you can't... That's why your writing's horrific. Never picked a pen up. But dot to dot, that's what it's like with this podcast. You just follow, and at the end of it, it makes a picture of Andy Bush.
Yeah.
We've hit all the points on it. It's
Andy Bush
cruising with Ritchie.
Yeah. Absolutely.
in a wig.
And there we are, back full circle.
Back full circle.
There we go.
Right, let's leave it there. I think we've covered enough topics there for this week.
Topics?
See? It's an assortment of chocolate bars.
You see, Shocker Go-Go.
It is, isn't it? Chocolate Go-Go, what a lad. Lamar in there. Nice, smashy and nicey too. Lamar, who? Thomas Lamar. Again, back to Lamar, who invented, what did she invent? Oh, Wi-Fi.
She did.
Did someone make it there, Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Was she ever anyone's Wi-Fi? No? You don't know.
Let's move.
Let's leave it there. Right, make sure you... Yeah, we'll be back next week and hopefully we'll have a bit of bush. The stubble might have grown back. See you later. Bye.
Oh my God.
Lovely stuff, boys.
Nice one, Dave.
Enjoyed that.
Take care, mate.
See you
Take
later.
care. See
Top
you
man.
later.
See you later. Ta-ra, mate.
Bye.
Ta-ra.